I was 19 when I started stripping. I've worked in a bottle club for 2 years. It's kind of like a meat market. You are on display. You are subject to somebody picking you versus picking another girl. So you're always trying to outperform another girl because you are dependent on making money if you even want to leave that night.
Most people are unaware that there are a handful of these clubs across the state. There are clubs in Omaha and several that stretch into the central and western part of the state, all along I-80. Essentially what we're seeing here is what we would call a gray area of the law. The way the law is written, or rather not written, it's created this area that we previously haven't had to address because these clubs didn't exist. Now they do, where they don't sell alcohol, but they encourage people to bring their own. That's why we call them bottle clubs or bring your own beer clubs. Essentially what this does is it allows them to operate just like any other bar or nightclub, but they don't follow any of the same rules or regulations. Based on what these clubs themselves are saying, it's that exact loophole that allows them to do things like offering fully nude dancers and actually letting the patrons touch the dancers.
They said that I would be protected, that this was going to be a fun job, that I was going to make a lot of money, that there was going to be a lot of security around me, and that I wasn't going to have to do things that I don't want to do. One time a guy held me down and tried to penetrate me during a lap dance. It was on camera, but nobody interceded because they weren't watching.
Nebraska law defines prostitution as including both sexual intercourse and sexual contact, which means the touching of sexually intimate areas, breasts, buttocks, inner thighs, and the clubs are openly promoting that this is the type of activity that they allow.
One of the perceptions is that bottle clubs don't serve alcohol, so they're safer, but they also allow you to bring kegs in. Recently, I visited a bottle clubs where I watched the security guards help carry the kegs and the coolers of alcohol into the club.
In most bars or nightclubs, you have to be 21 to enter, but in these clubs, not only do you only need to be 18, but there's fully nude entertainment and alcohol.
There's a lot of debt bondage that happens when you're part of a strip club. It's not free to come, free to leave. You pay a fee to start working, and then you have to pay a fee to leave work. And in between that, you have to pay a fee for every lap dance that you do. And it's not always consensual to everything that you're gonna do. I usually felt defeated, and I felt worthless, and I felt trapped, that there wasn't another option. So even though it starts of my own free will, the way it feels when you're there is that it's not a choice anymore.
The more we've gotten involved with and studied the issue of trafficking, the more of a connection we've seen between actual human trafficking and sexual-oriented businesses. And although they appear to be an entirely separate category, we know that it's really these types of environments and industries that fuel trafficking.
When I knew I was being trafficked, even though I didn't understand that word, was when I was taken out of town. And at that point, I was performing for free.
If the law is written in a way that this type of activity is allowed to exist, then the lawmakers should do their job and write the law in a way that protects the health and safety of our communities, the integrity of our state, and the vulnerable women who are at risk.
One thing I want the girl who's currently being exploited to know is that you can leave. You're more than your looks, you're more than your body. There's a dream that lives inside of you. You can leave and you can be free.